Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is one of our favorite shows. It's the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. And I am your host, Cece Schatz, the doyen of relationship building. And I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. Want to do our homework first because I get excited and I forget. So we want to make sure you guys know our website is goingsolomedia.com. And then I love to get your emails. So go ahead and email me at goingsolonetwork at gmail.com. So I'm a Gmail girl and I kind of like that. So our big website that has everything on it, if you'd like to see what all we're doing on the Going Solo Network, it's just that, goingsolonetwork.com. So now you got all of our stuff. Let's get on with the show because we've got a lot happening today. We're going to fill this hour very, very quickly, I'm sure. So we have our wonderful guest here waiting for us. Hello there, Jonathan Goldman. How are you?
I'm really well. Glad to be with you for sure.
Oh, it is great having you. You've written this wonderful book. It's called The Gift of the Body, a multi-dimensional, if I can talk today, guide to energy and not autonomy, grounded spiritually and living through the heart. I love anything that has to do, and we talked about this before, about light and energy and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about your journey because you really too kind of, you says you have mapped the human energy vehicle revolutionary ways. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did you get in the journey of doing this type of work?
So in my book, I give a little section about my own journey. And, when I look back, I'm sure that you have the same thing. I see the nudges. I see the pushes from other levels. Like, oh, how did that happen? I started out like many people needing healing. I had my own story of my own stuff that happened in my childhood that brought me to need healing. And so I was seeking that. And I had a thing from the time I was born where I didn't want to do what everybody else did. I wanted to do weird things, and I wanted to do things that were outside the box, even though I didn't know that there was a box, So the first thing that happened was I was in college, University of Michigan, 1971, way back then. And a friend of mine had gone to China in one of the first trips of Americans to China. And it was actually a secret trip because China wasn't open yet for Americans to travel. And he had just come back. And I thought, I want to get the skinny. I want to find out the story while it's fresh. So I went to his father's house. His father was a professor. And I'm walking up on the porch. The front door's open. And I look in. And at that point, my friend was sticking a needle in his father's elbow, just as I'm walking up on the porch. And a voice says to me, "You're going to do that." And the truth is, I didn't even know what that was. So it took me 5 years to find a school. There were no schools in the Western Hemisphere. I had to go to England. And I started practicing acupuncture in 1976. So it fulfilled the need for me to know that healing was real, because my parents had both died when I was young and I was in that trauma. And so I needed to know that healing was possible. So it fulfilled that. And it fulfilled the thing about doing something weird because nobody knew what it was then. And I was one of the first people outside of a Asian community to practice acupuncture in the United States. So I did that for 12 years, really a lot. I had worked mostly in a 7x8 room in the top floor of my house, just working 50, 60 people a week. And then I went to Brazil, 1987, December 1987, because a man who had been my psychotherapist in my need for healing, who was Brazilian, said to me, "We're going to go to Brazil. We're going to go to the mountains, a community in the mountains of Brazil. And in a month, we're going to do the equivalent of 10 years of psychotherapy and 10 years of meditation. What do you think?" And I said, "Good deal. Let's go." So I had no idea what I was going to face, what I was going to see, what was going to happen. The central practice of this community that still exists is the use of a tea that comes from the Amazon rainforest that most people nowadays call ayahuasca. And but nobody knew what that word was, and nobody knew anything about this kind of work. So I went there thinking, well, I'm going to do the equivalent of 10 years of psychotherapy, blah, blah, blah. What I found was my own healing that I had been seeking based on this super strong vibrational state and connection with spiritual energies, true spiritual energies, not woo-woo ideas. Vibrations that open my heart, open my bodies, open my thinking, open my mind. And totally to my surprise, I found out that I had a spiritual healing channel built into me that had been bubbling, waiting. So what I've said, it was like it got unzipped in me in that month in the mountains of Brazil. And when I came back to my practice, to my acupuncture practice, even weirder things started happening. My hands would get on fire and I would touch someone and they would get up and get well. I would start hearing voices that told me how to do particular acupuncture things. And over time, I started seeing in the aura, in what I came to call the vehicle, the places where things like identity live, where compassion lives, where forgiveness lives, where the belief about love lives, where trust lives, all this stuff. And I started mapping it. I started writing it down. I was like, wow, look where that is. Look where that is. Look where that is. 15 years later, I realized, oh, it's a thing. It's a map. It's a view of humanity. Let me write it down. And so then eventually I ended up writing a book.
It's amazing. It truly is. And I've often said, that doors open for us, right? Things happen to us and we have no idea why that happens. But I think it is that vibrational level of where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, unbeknownst to us that we need to walk through. So, it's amazing that your life and that, how it's twisted and turned and how you've been able to come through and help people with writing such a wonderful book like this. So let's talk a little bit about that channeling, because I'm very curious. I mean, my own personal curiosity, if nothing more, but I'm just curious about this channeling because I've heard this time and time again when I've talked to other people that have some of the same skills that you have, some of the same, blessings that you have. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So here's my point of view. Everybody is what I would call a medium. What is a medium? A medium is someone who is a bridge between spirit and matter. It manifests in different ways. What everyone has built into them, every human, is intuition. Right? What is intuition? Intuition is the voice of the heart that tells us things beyond what we can cognitively understand. Gives us vibrational messages when we cultivate it, when we strengthen it through exercise, through through meditation, through various exercises. We have this unerring guide internally. So that's the basis of all of this, what you would call channeling. But then what everybody has then is a particular vibrational talent. So some people see beyond what is in front of them. We call that clairvoyance. Many people feel things that they can't identify where it came from, right? So today, for instance, in this world, right, that has been disarranged, there are many people feeling many things that they don't know where they come from or what they are. So all of a sudden, in a minute, somebody will feel depressed, or somebody will feel happy, or somebody will feel anxious, or someone will feel crazy, right? And then there are some people acting out those things based on a pre-existing disturbance already in their own psyche and doing things that the rest of us look at and say, wow, that's a terrible thing. But we're all subject to those thoughts. that's a form of channeling. What I've been able to do, what I've been blessed to do, is to have training so that I can discern what's what, so that I know what's coming from my own ego, what's coming from my own thoughts, what's coming from other thoughts, and what's coming then from what I call guides. In my book, I call them those guys, coming from other levels of reality, communicating through me. And I worked really hard to cultivate grounding in me and discernment through my heart, so that my intuition, that voice of my intuition, is accurate. Because there are many people also who get very confused. They get very confused with their ego, and something comes that is pure and inspirational, and it gets twisted because of my own filters. So I can only claim that I work every day to make sure that my filters are clean, right? I polish my filters so I know what's what. So I know what comes out of my mouth is hopefully every day a little more pure and a little more connected to inspiration rather than ego.
So do you do this by like your chakras?
What I do is every day in my meditation, I open my chakras. I open every one of my chakras. I do what I can to clear it. I'll give you an example. Today I've been working very hard, and I have a practice where I do healing for many people, and I lead ceremonies and lots of stuff. So what will happen is I start to get my body can be like a sponge, and I can start to pick up energies. So yesterday I found myself crabby, and I didn't know why. I was crabby. And this morning I'm sitting there, I'm like, what was I so crabby about? I didn't really have anything to be crabby about, but I just was this irritation. And I'm inside myself looking at my various chakras, and I see in my third chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra, I see the area of my liver, which is on the right side. The liver is a place when it gets overloaded with too much work, too much energy, too many decisions, can get irritated. So I saw in my own energy field the place, literally in my aura, where there was like an irritation. It looked like a wound, like a sore. And so I called light to it. I entered the space of compassion in my heart, and I lifted it up into light. And all of a sudden I wasn't crabby anymore from one second to the next.
Wow, that's amazing. We work on, and we talked about this just a little bit beforehand. I work a lot with those that are in transition. So, of course, we're all in transition. Our lives are always in a movement of some form or another. But what would you say for those that are in that state of transition in their lives? There's a lot of movement going on. There's a lot of unknown, fear. So what would you say to those individuals?
So let me tell you the quick story about how all this came to me. One day, this was probably 1989.
Mhm.
A woman is lying on my treatment table, and I have my hand above her solar plexus, about 1.5 feet, here, like about that far, right in front of her. And I'm just there. And at that stage, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I was supposed to have my hand there. And all of a sudden, the thought came to me, I don't know who I am anymore. And I thought, wait a minute. At this moment in my life, that's not coming from me, although I have had times when that's been true, but it isn't. I thought, wow, I wonder if that's coming from her. So I said to her, let me tell you what I just heard. I don't know who I am anymore. And she goes, oh my God, she starts crying. That's exactly what's happening. I'm in this total transition in my life. My relationship has ended. My job has fallen apart. I don't know who I am anymore. So the first thing is, when a transition happens, it's an energetic phenomenon in your field, in your energy bodies. It's supposed to be happening. Why? Because we go through stages in our lives, and particularly the transitions of the kinds of things that you're talking about, relationships, of jobs, of health,
Right.
of situations, are the third chakra starting to morph, to let go of the identity of who we have been, to take us into the heart, which is right above, I call it the longest 4 inches in the universe between the third and fourth chakra, take us to live through our hearts, which is a completely different identity. Because the identity of the third chakra, where I was feeling this in this woman, is who I've believed myself to be, right? So Jonathan is fill in the blank, right? Cece is fill in the blank. The person who ding, 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 ding. That starts to morph because it doesn't serve, that identity doesn't serve anymore. So because the identity doesn't serve anymore, maybe the relationship doesn't serve anymore. Maybe that job is not the expression of who you're becoming. So rather than treating it as a tragedy, let's treat it as an opportunity.
I like that.
Right? And rather than fight it, because what many people do. So that where that woman was, she was in her late 30s. So what do we call that? We call that the midlife crisis. Okay. Rather than fighting it and trying to keep everything together, what do many people do in that? They end up taking medication.
Yeah, which is totally bad. Yeah.
Right. Because their life is morphing. And like, oh my God, oh my God, right? No, what about if we say, okay, let's go. But then there are ways that we can learn how to literally firm ourselves in this heart center to make that transition be smoother, to make the transition be filled with joy rather than fear.
Right. Because I think if you medicate yourself, then what you're doing is really lowering your vibration, right?
Completely.
Yeah. And so you're not going to be able to move forward. You're just really kind of in a limbo state. And so to embrace your life, right? To embrace it and say, okay, here's where I am. Where am I going? Let's get the show on the road, and start getting in touch with yourself, your core values, what makes you happy, bring some joy back in your life. And next thing you know, you start walking forward into that new life, that new transition that you're doing.
It's very beautiful.
Start opening, like you. I mean, it amazes me when I hear your journey about how things opened for you when you had no idea it was going to happen. You had no idea you were going to go away for a month and do what you were doing, but you took it on. You did it. You said, okay, let's do it.
A year and a half after that first time in Brazil, I was in the middle of the Amazon jungle in a village that took 2 days by canoe to get to.
Wow.
Surrounded by native Brazilian people who spoke a language that at that point I didn't speak at all. In the middle of the jungle. And I realized, wow, this is for sure. I'm not bored. For sure, this is the unusual life. And what I did was I said yes, rather than saying, oh my God, no, I can't. My life is going to be different. I was like, okay. And I think that we have choice. And that choice to say yes or no, the fundamental choice that humans have is to say yes or no, right? To what's presented to us, to what comes up in us. And as you said, there's a door. Am I going to walk through it or not? Many people say no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that about having choices, because, someone told me one time is that, you have a choice to be happy. You have a choice to love. You have a choice to do whatever it is that you want to do, and you have a choice not to do it, So, so choices are out there for us, and sometimes we are fearful of being able to move forward with it. So what we're going to do is let's go a quick break here, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about the energy, the light, what we can do to shift our lives to being able to move forward. Because I think your book really it helps us to understand what's our values are, being spiritual and really kind of living with our heart, going through some of those things. So let's talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We're going to just take a quick break. Again, everyone, we have Jonathan Goldman here with us. We're talking about his book, The Gift of the Body, and it's truly about energy and spirituality and really living through your heart. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that this book is really something that's going to create a shift in your lives. And so that's what we're talking about today, is creating that shift for you. So we come back, we're going to talk about that. And before we go, I want to share the website that you guys can find everything on. It's Essential Light. It's ESSENTIALLIGHT.org. I hope I spelled that right. So, but yeah, so it's ESSENTIALLIGHT.org. So those of you that are going to be listening to this later in audio, you have that. We want to make sure that you go to the website. This book is there, but a lot of other information is there. So it's very important that you connect with Jonathan that way. So it's Jonathan Goldman, and we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back to WGSN, if I can talk, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. You're listening to the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and we're just so pleased to have us today, a wonderful guest, Jonathan Goldman. We're talking about his latest book here. It's called The Gift of the Body, a multi-dimensional, if I can say the word, I should have taken it out, guide to energy, anatomy, grounded spiritually, and living through the heart. It is a truly great book. And we're talking about our energy levels, right? We're talking about walking through that door instead of climbing through that window, the door is wide open, walking through it, raising your vibration. We had a wonderful first part of the show. You shared with us your journey, being able to really get more in tune with yourself, understanding that what you're capable of doing in your life and how you're able to help people and share with them. So let's talk a little bit more about the energy, because that is truly, I think truly what, if we could all raise our energy level, what a wonderful place this would be, right?
Yeah. If we could match as we can, if we could each raise our energy vibration to match the energy of pure nature, right? So you live in Florida. Imagine if everybody consciously, let's vibrate like the sea. I live in the mountains, right? I live in the forest. We can raise our energy. How do we do that? There are ways to do it. One of the things that I teach, you mentioned our website, which I appreciate a lot. There is on that website a 10-session course teaching literally how to create an internal structure that I call the 3 groundings: grounding on earth, centered in the heart, receiving light. that makes the basis for raising our vibrational rate, which is not imaginary, right? Almost all illness is caused by density, by things not moving fast enough or cleanly enough. When we raise our vibration rate, we literally become healthier by doing that. It takes work. It's not a magic. It's not like 1 second. But in 1 second, you can feel it and you can say, oh, I want that. Then what I say is they take us to the top of the mountain, right? And you look around and you say, oh, I like this. Then they take you to the bottom and they say, now climb. Climb. Because in the climbing, you're going to learn who you are. By learning to make that transition I'm talking about from the third chakra, where most of us live, to the fourth chakra, to the heart, and doing it consciously and learning to recognize it and pray into it and breathe into it and live through it, we learn. It's like being in the greatest graduate school in the universe, right? You get your PhD in being a new you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the idea that it's about the journey. You know, it truly is about the journey of what we experience and what we take from that. You know, so often in my life, the very negative things have come forward, and I just chosen not to listen to it and not to be around those kind of people and just walk by, because that's not where I want to be, right? I don't want to be in that negative stuff. You know, I want to be up above and try to live a happy life. And so choices are extremely important to us. So let's talk a little bit about the energy and healing, because you've done a lot of that in your lifetime. You know, the placement of hands, you've done, you know, medically. So tell us a little bit about that.
What I came to understand, so I practiced acupuncture for a long time. Acupuncture is a brilliant, incredible, right? 5,000-year-old healing art. Works within what's called the etheric body. The etheric body is the layer of us that most people can see it. Sometimes it's a little like a nimbus that goes around the body. First time I ever saw it, I was looking at a video of the Beatles. And I thought, wow, Paul McCartney has this light all around him. I wonder what that is, you know? So acupuncture works in that. That's what I did for many years. What I started to realize when I was given this other work is we have other layers. We have an emotional layer that's above that. We have a mental layer that's above that. And we have spiritual layers that's even above that. What if we work in those layers? What if, to free up the physical body, we free the mental body, which is where beliefs live and opinions live. We are defined by our beliefs. So that woman that I referred to believed who she was. And it started to change and caused her digestive problems and caused her problems with her menstruation and caused her emotional disturbance. So rather than trying to fix all those, I didn't try to fix anything. I called light to the place of her identity to free that up so that everything could go smoother. Her digestion got better. Her menstrual problems got better. Not because we were dealing with those things specifically, but because we were freeing up the whole system. And most of the time, almost all the time, when the system is freed up, it's like taking a dam out of a river. Take the dam out of the river and then let the river flow and see how it cleans itself. It's the same thing mostly with people. Let's free it up. Let's get everything moving like it's supposed to. And then let's see what happens with the symptoms. And so when I do the work and what I teach people to do is, let's go from the top down. Let's work from in the mental body. Let's work in the emotional body. Then let's work to free up what needs to be freed up in the physical body. I have people come to me who have done things like they've gone to chiropractors and they've dealt with their diet and they've done therapy and they've been to allopathic doctors and blah, 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 and nothing worked. We do the work we do. They go back and do the same thing with the same practitioner, and this time it works.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, are you able to help people online? Can you do some of this work online, or do
I
you?
do actually most of the work I do now is like this, either on like this Zoom
Yeah.
or sometimes on phone. I see people also in in person. One of the things we started doing recently, which I think is, I have to say, I think is really cool, is I teach online courses, right? So I did a two-part, recently I did a two-part course on mediumship, amplifying what we're talking about here. And at the end of the sessions, I did a online healing for 100 people.
Wow.
Called Light. It's called a light healing. Called Light for 100 people. Let's see what happens. And everybody felt it. So it's not, they call it non-local. It doesn't matter. We are connected through electromagnetic cords, right? All life is a network, right? We're like mushrooms, right? We connect under the earth, but we connect through the inner planes. We are. And that's not woo-woo. That's right, yet to be discovered science. So sure, I do it, right? I did a session before this, and I'll do a session after we're done.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Now I know that you have a podcast. Tell us a little bit about that. You have a podcast project. Is that what you were talking about, or is that something different?
No, I have an online class project.
Sorry.
What I was talking about is I did an online class of 10 sessions last September, October, November, and we recorded them. And so they're available on the website as a package. Also on the website, we have things that are free videos. We have written things. We have a whole library, what we call transmissions that have come from my guide. And we have the classes available so that people can buy them. And so we range from, zero money to moderate money, depending on what you're interested in.
Right. And what your needs are. And so that's important. And so those that are just touching base with this information, there's information on your site that they can actually gain. And then if they want to try to go in a little bit deeper, if they feel that they have some issues within themselves and they want to dig a little deeper, then you have other courses for that. So I think that's great.
A whole range, and we're dividing them up into, there are things for people just beginning, and then there's people that have done all kinds of spiritual and healing work that want to refine it and what I call put on these goggles, like look at it from this angle and see if it's useful to you. So we're doing it on purpose to have the whole range. At the end of this year, I'm going to start a 1-year program called the Living Through the Heart Process for people who really want to train in this work from this particular angle. And we're going to go step by step, and we're going to have, because things have opened up enough, we're going to have in-person workshops where people come here to our forest where we live in Oregon. And we're going to also mix that with doing online classes as well.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, definitely make sure we have the link and everything to that, and we can share it on our information. We'd love to be able to support you in that. Well, we're going to have to close out the show. But again, everyone, his website is essentiallight.org, and that's essentiallight.org. So if you're writing that down, that's what it is. And then go on there because he's got so much information. It's truly a blessing to have that. Again, his book, we want to make sure you guys get it. It's The Gift of the Body. It's right on Amazon. So you just go right on Amazon. And if you can't remember the name or whatever, just put in Jonathan Goldman and it comes right up. So you'll be able to find it. So you can get the book on Amazon, go on his website. I'm sure you can get the book there. So definitely, start to understand this a little bit more, understand your energy levels, and maybe you need to think about raising it or doing something different. If something's not working for you now, you got to make a shift. You got to make a change. And and this is the best way to do is really start feeding your body with good information. So Jonathan, are there any last words you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, here, I would like to share something that I know to be true. In the center of each heart, in each human heart, there is perfection. There is you. Without your traumas, without your personality difficulties, without your karmas, there is you in your purest, truest form. Some people call it God within. You can call it the light, the true light that is within you. I'm not making this up. And it can be accessed, it can be nurtured, it can be released, and it can be the referent for living our lives on earth, rather than the external feedback that I get from the outside. The feedback I get is from the inside, from that place of perfection. And all true spirituality, all true healing is designed to help you, help me get to that, know it, and make that what we live through and from. That's what I want to convey.
Well, thank you so much. We truly do appreciate you being on the show here with us today, and as wealth of information, just a short period of time that we've had here. And so again, everyone, his website is essentiallight.org. Please go to it and get the information there. Like you said, he's got some beginning information. If you're just starting, you kind of get an idea that maybe you need to make a shift or a change in your life, a transition. There's some information there for, and then if you want to go a little bit further, if you really want to get into it and understand more about that light that's from within, definitely Jonathan Goldman will certainly help you with that. So you don't have to live in his town. You just have to connect with him. That's all you have to do. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Cece. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a blessing to have you. Wow, what a great book. So I hope you guys will reach out to Jonathan Goldman. Again, his website is essentiallight.org. All of his information is right there. You can get his book on Amazon if you want. Go to his website. I hope that you would do that. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. What an awesome author we had today, Jonathan Goldman. Couldn't ask for much better, right? I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I love this show. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.